Hi, I'm Pastor Marla Amborn coming to you for our midweek fireside chat. This week we're doing more of a candlelight chat here from our kitchen table. Chance to be a little more up close, a little more personal. Been thinking about the fact that since mid-March we have not been holding in-person worship services or events or meetings of any kind at Emmanuel. When we originally made that decision, we had really hoped that we'd be back together again by Easter, and clearly that hasn't happened. And in fact, since then, the pandemic has gotten worse than anybody really expected. This week, we passed the mark of 1 million Americans who have been infected by the coronavirus. And more Americans have died now of COVID-19 than died in the Vietnam War. So it's very serious, and it's been difficult as we as a church family have tried to work with this. But it's reminded me that at different times throughout history, God's people have faced all different kinds of challenges. There's been different kinds of persecution, there's been wars, there's been exile. And one example that has come to my mind is that in China, during the Cultural Revolution, the Chinese government had made the decision they really wanted to just put an end to religion altogether. And they banned religion of all kinds. And at that time, churches were ruined, and people were persecuted for their faith. They were arrested, they were tortured, they were killed if they professed having faith. And during that time, people were forced to bring religion into their homes, to meet in small groups, little home churches. And throughout the time of that 10-year period, the growth in Christianity was more than 100 times from the beginning to the end, as many Christians as a result of that, because they realized how important their faith was, and it was something that came to them in intimate ways that they found to be meaningful in their homes. In the same way, we have been forced to go into our homes with our faith. We're not able to go together in large groups. And I believe that there's ways that we can grow from this. Just this last week, one of our Sunday school teachers, Jen Oaknick, created a special Earth Day Sunday school lesson. She was just inspired to do it, and so she put it together. It was fun, it was interactive, something that kids could do at home. And we sent it out to all the families of all our Sunday school kids. If you're interested in a copy of it, I'm happy to email it out to you. Just let me know. In the last week, too, our Council Vice President, Dave Rue, has been actively working and actually submitted one of the applications for a payroll protection plan grant from the U.S. government. Now, Emmanuel's doing okay financially. I want you to know that, and we're really grateful for the many gifts that people have continued to give during this time. But this is something that's being made available to small businesses through the U.S. government. So we thought we might as well see if there's some of that would be available for us. So I really appreciate the hard work that went into putting that application together. We continue to work on our building. Marlon Ness and Don Noyes have met with a contractor, the one who had repaired our steps, the front steps of the church. And part of the front steps, the top part, was repaired really nicely. The bottom part, not so much. Well, they've worked it out with that contractor that he's going to take care of redoing that bottom part at no extra cost to us. So we're really grateful that we continue to make progress on things related to our church facility. And one special little bit of joy this last week is that Matt and Shua Carlson's little baby was born. Leanna Tora Carlson was born on April 26th at 2:48 in the morning. You know, what a source of joy that new life brings as we think life continues even in the midst of this pandemic. This next Sunday, you'll have a special worship service. Randy and I went out to the farm of Dave and Judy Nelson over the last weekend, and we recorded a whole series of worship shots related to sheep, because it's Good Shepherd Sunday, and they have the Sunrise Sheep and Wool business with all their many sheep, and it was really fun out on the farm. I think you'll really enjoy it. Even as we're recording this now, I know that Momo is in the midst of recording music, and Amy is in the midst of editing it all together, and I expect that you'll really enjoy this special worship service on the farm this Sunday, something we wouldn't have been able to do if we were worshiping from in our sanctuary. So this provides opportunities to be creative and to try some new things. We found that there's actually more people tuning into our worship services and our fireside chats online than we had coming in our doors on a Sunday morning. And so word is spreading and it's getting out there, and we're grateful to know that God's message is getting through, even though we're having to do so in different ways. If you're feeling inspired, think about ways that we might continue to do ministry in maybe some new ways that are meaningful now. I would love to hear your ideas and love to try to partner with you to help make things happen. One suggestion that's been made is that we try to do an outdoor worship service, or maybe a worship service from cars in a parking lot. I would love to have a small team of people work together on that to do the planning of the logistics. If you're willing to help with that, let me know. We'd like to try to do that sometime relatively soon. So I welcome your good ideas and your involvement and active engagement with our ongoing ministry. As I think about this, I realize that that Paul was one of the people who did a lot of ministry from a distance. He went around and he started various different churches, and after they got going, he kept in touch with them remotely by writing letters. And much of the New Testament was written as letters that Paul wrote to various churches where he was advising them on different aspects of ministry. One of his favorite churches was the church at Philippi, and I want to read to you just a little bit from Paul's letter to that church. In the first chapter of Philippians, Paul writes, "I thank my God every time I remember you, constantly praying with joy in every one of my prayers for all of you, because of your sharing of the gospel from the first day until now. I am confident of this, that the one who began a good work among you will bring it to completion by the day of Jesus Christ." And I also thank God for each one of you. You bring me joy. I am confident that God will continue to work in your lives with your faith for good. And I'm so grateful to know that God works even when we can't be all together in person. I have a couple quick announcements for you. We are planning to have a Mother's Day floral event, kind of like our Palm Sunday Palm event. The youth are buying flowers for mothers, and on Saturday, May 9th, we invite members of the congregation to come from 1 to 2 o'clock in our church parking lot to pick up flowers for mothers for Mother's Day. We hope to see you then. Also, if you're finding this Facebook worship to be meaningful, we ask you to please recommend our Facebook page. Make a few comments as to how you find it meaningful and do an actual recommendation. Right now we've just got one, and we'd love to have a lot more recommendations of this ministry if you find it meaningful. So I wish you all God's blessings and look forward to seeing you Sunday, May 3rd at 9:30 for worship on the farm. God bless.